To start, I thought we'd ask Lynne about her book. It's just so sparkly written. It has lots of fabulous language in it. And the most intriguing thing is you've gone right across the country looking at all these shops.
It was a sort of head-first dive into my first love, which is vintage fashion. And it's something that my mother really instilled in me from a young age. She was the most frugal person in the whole entire world. And yeah, that's what happened. I just went round all these shops and then I thought, right, okay, well, we live 40 minutes away from Glasgow, an hour and a half away from Newcastle. I had a chat with one of my girlfriends who's from Australia, and she was chastising me and the rest of us because we're terrible at not city hopping in the UK. And she was like, you know, I live in Perth, that's where she grew up, and she was like, you know, my nearest town would be 4 hours away on a plane. You guys can be in Manchester in 3 hours on a train, or, you know, an hour in the sky and you're in another city. And so that actually inspired me to pick 15 cities and literally just get on a train, wake up in the morning and be in another city and then come home the same night, and it is totally doable.
So how did you find out where all these shops were? I mean, it's pretty comprehensive, this listing. I think we're all fiendishly jealous.
Well, Google is a wonderful thing, let me tell you. But a lot of this was referral.
Right.
So the trick to this book is I'm not saying that these are the best places in the UK to shop. I'm saying these are my favourite places to shop in the UK. And they're the places that you walk in and you kind of, you feel a heart pang for them. You totally instantly fall in love. And so there's lots of places in the UK that you can go to, but my favourite 3 stores are showcased in the book. Armstrong's is obviously one of them. So yeah, that's how it worked. I would do a lot of research, do a lot of phone calling, and anybody who goes vintage shopping, and the girls will certainly know this, vintage is a huge community, and everybody likes to tell everybody where they got something from or how they achieved a certain look. And when you tap into that, it tends to be this door that just floods right open to you. So that's how it happened.
Armstrong's, according to you, is one of the Holy Trinity, isn't it?
Absolutely is, yes.
So maybe if you would like, we've got duo speakers tonight. I'm not quite sure who's going to pick up on this, but tell us a little history of Armstrong's, because it does seem to have been there for absolutely decades.
Mm-hmm. Well, initially it was a rag trade for about 160 years. Right. So it's been kind of inherent within the city for such a long time. And it was in the last 30 years that the McMorris family took it over and kind of turned it into that rag trade and transformed it into the treasure trove that it is today. Right. I think what's lovely about it is there's such a breadth. You know, we've covered things from, you know, the Victorian era, we've got 20s and 30s wedding dresses, but then right up to kind of kilt wear, and it's just, you know, you could basically walk in and get anything that you were wanting.
And if we move on to Bernardo's, you're much newer on the horizon, really, aren't you? But you're just basically across the road from Armstrong's.
The vintage store's only been open it's coming up for about 5 years, something like that. It originally started because we have, obviously, Bernardo's has been running for 100 years as a charity. But just as the past few years, obviously we've noticed like Armstrong's and everything like that, the whole sort of vintage is really, really picking up. So we really wanted to tap into that just to make extra money just purely for the charity. So it started off as purely like a little corner in our Stockbridge store, and our manager, who's currently on maternity leave at the moment, she was the one who sort of founded the little vintage stores, and just it's progressed from there and it's gone really, really well.
Yeah, it's great.